As the country eagerly awaits the outcome of the leadership contest at the Nasrec ANC Conference 55, there's doubt as to whether enough emphasis will be given to policy positions for the governing party. Hanekom is a former cabinet minister and outgoing ANC NEC member. At the beginning of the conference, social media reports started to circle of him reportedly starting an alternative political party just in case incumbent President Cyril Ramaphosa loses favor. Hanekom joins us now via Zoom from Nasrec. A very good morning to you, Mr. Hanekom, and thanks for making the time to speak to us.
Morning, Desiree. How are you?
First off, how's the mood in Nasrec on this? How's the mood in Nasrec as we anticipate those results?
My own impression, Desiree, walking around, being in the hall, from a somewhat shaky start, where clearly some people were trying to disturb the conference, if not disrupt the conference. The mood is really quite calm and quite cordial. People are friendly to each other, even those who might be supporting different groups. There is certainly not the kind of tension that I have experienced in many conferences. It's quite relaxed, I must say.
Is that so? So on the first day of the conference, we saw social media reports that you and some groupings, you're starting a political party called the Renew South Africa Congress Party. Any truth to this?
Yeah, no, none whatsoever. I'm actually surprised that the question is still being asked, because I had a host of interviews the day before yesterday. I was asked by many people, and I said it's just the thing that seems to be the order of the day these days. Absolute fake news. There isn't even a little glimmer of truth in it whatsoever. So why and for what reason people would have fabricated that kind of news, I don't know. But there's absolutely no truth in it.
Well, it just flows into that conversation about so many other not necessarily true stories flying around. Are you finding that this has been the case, particularly with this conference, or has it always happened with previous conferences?
No, I think we're living in a different era where, the communications via social media are basically sometimes dominate the discourse. And that was certainly not the case 5 years ago. Things have changed. There are several dozens of WhatsApp groups. There are posters being created. There are attempts to discredit individuals, obviously promoting individuals, which is fine. I don't think the discrediting and the fake news is fine. I don't think that's acceptable at all. But that seems to be where we are today.
So there's absolutely no basis to it?
Oh, you're back to that? No, of course not.
Yeah.
As I said, I mean, where you were right is that I'm an outgoing NEC member, but that was my choice. I decided that I've been on the NEC for 28 years now.
Yeah.
It is time to hand over to other people. So it's my choice that this will be my last conference as an NEC member in any event.
Yeah.
But I will continue being active in the ANC. Hopefully supporting the leadership that is elected. I continue being an investment envoy in the president's office, and my site of activity is probably going to be in the Veterans League, because that's what I am now, a member of the Veterans League, and in my branch of the ANC.
Yeah.
I will continue. Yeah.
I want to quickly ask you this, Mr. Hanekom. You have a history of legal wrangling with former President Jacob Zuma. What are your thoughts about him actively campaigning against the incumbent at this particular conference?
Well, frankly, it's simply outrageous, because even when we had a number of concerns about him being charged with various offenses, by the way, and even when, during his time as president of the ANC, when a number of us at the NEC meeting called for him to resign as the president of the country following a kind of a disastrous local government election, and that was in 2017, we did that in the NEC. And finally, of course, after the election in Nasrec of a new leadership and the president of the ANC, the NEC itself made a decision that he should resign, and he did. But, the attacks on the serving president are quite unprecedented, and they're completely unacceptable, and they're a breach of the ANC disciplinary code.
Yeah.
So he seems to be quite unwilling to accept the outcome, still unwilling to accept the outcome of the conference 5 years ago. And he seems to be living under some kind of illusion that this conference will change things in his favor. His walking into the conference just as the president of the ANC was starting to deliver his report, his address, was clearly orchestrated. It wasn't innocent, it was planned. And I believe, as I've said before, I believe that the incoming NEC should consider disciplinary action for attempts to disrupt the conference and for some of his public statements about the president. Interestingly, President Ramaphosa has never launched any personal attacks against former President Jacob Zuma.
Just give me a quick one as a parting shot. I want to ask you, as with a day to go, what's the weighting between policy discussions and leadership discussions at this conference?
I'm afraid it's always the case that people tend to get a bit preoccupied with the leadership issue, with the elections. But I was obviously not able to attend all of the commissions last night, but the reports that I get is that there was really good policy discussion, obviously with attendance not being quite what it should be, partly because the elections were happening simultaneously. But the feedback that I get on the commissions is that there was really rich discussion, and we will get the report backs from the commission discussions today. And so I think there's a reasonable balance between what some describe as an elective conference, and it's clearly much more than that. So the policy discussions have been an important component of this conference, and we await the outcome of that. And I would say, Desiree, that obviously the country is on tenterhooks to hear who are the elected leaders of the ANC, because, it's not a small thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think equally important would be conference resolutions. Where are we taking the country to? Resolutions on social transformation, on economic policy, peace and stability, they're utterly important, because these would guide the activities of the ANC in the next few years.
Derek Hanekom is a former cabinet member and an outgoing NEC member. He says he declined nomination. He just gave you his reasons there. But we continue to talk about machinations as we await the release of those leadership tussle results announcement.